Haiti has descended into mass chaos, riddled with gang violence. It's a country without a single elected government official, with over 500 innocent civilians dead since the start of 2023. But why have gangs taken over an entire country, and how did it get so bad? Stay with us as we'll tell you all about the lawless state of Haiti. It all started with the assassination of President Jovenel Moise in July 2021, allegedly by highly trained foreign mercenaries who had mysterious ties to the U.S. and Colombia. And since then, Haiti, one of the world's poorest nations, has been going through some of its darkest times. They'd been unstable ever since the 2010 earthquake that killed up to 300,000 people. But Moise's assassination in 2021 and another earthquake soon after sent the situation into a tailspin. Ariel Henry, an acting president who wasn't elected and widely regarded as being unconstitutional, took over after Moise. And all hell broke loose, giving rise to gang violence who managed to oust the government. There are now an estimated 200 gangs operating in Haiti, with at least 95 in the capital, Port-au-Prince, alone. As you can imagine, without a functioning government or law enforcement agencies, there's been a serious security crisis, with large-scale attacks being carried out on communities, politicians, and journalists, as well as high levels of violence, mass kidnappings, and large-scale forced displacements. Port-au-Prince is at the epicenter of a terrible turf war that's resulted in several kidnappings, many civilian fatalities, and all sorts of sexual violence targeting women and children. Sadly, this is nothing new for them. Since the 1950s, gangs have had a long-standing role in the country, working alongside political figures to intimidate opponents and secure votes. And now the situation has turned into a nightmare. Currently, the many gangs in the capital city are at war with one another. They control all major areas and even extort money for things like the delivery of water and power, or the functioning of bus services. And yet, these gangs now have waiting lists for new recruits because for some young men, membership has become so desirable. And why wouldn't it be when it's so profitable? Smuggling weapons into Haiti, for example, is something that's on every gang member's bucket list. On the Haitian black market, a $400 or $500 firearm purchased in the United States can now fetch more than $3,000. Plus, a gang member can earn $20,000 by participating in just one gang-related assignment, such as allowing a shipment of weapons to pass through a port. Drug smuggling and kidnappings for extortion also continue to be major sources of income for those who carry out the crimes. Also, men who don't want to be part of a gang are often hunted after and ultimately killed. Now, as the security and political situation in the Caribbean nation worsens, gang violence has claimed the lives of more than 530 Haitians this year, including 187 in the last month alone. The truth is that Haiti's gangs are not autonomous organizations, but rather direct extensions of the country's ruling class. The gangs themselves are better described as paramilitary forces, mercenaries who perform military-style violent services for the political and corporate elites who profit enormously from the relationship. Weapons are sometimes sent to Haiti by Haitians in the diaspora or outsiders who assume they'll be used to protect people, but they go into the wrong hands. While gang members do protect their territories, they also kidnap, steal, and kill residents. It's true that at times these gangs became the primary providers of social and municipal services in Haiti's densely populated low-income neighborhoods. They provided electricity, water, and even paid for funerals on occasion. They defended local sellers who paid gang members in rackets, almost like a local tax. But those days are gone. Now it's just death and destruction at the hands of these men. The limits in Port-au-Prince cannot be seen, but they must be known. It could be the difference between life and death. Rival gangs are wreaking havoc on Haiti's capital, kidnapping, raping, and killing at whim. They mark their territory with blood, so crossing from one gang's territory to another can result in your death. Oh, and they set the time here. You'd think crimes would be carried out in the darkness of night, but here, morning rush hour is prime time for kidnappings. In fact, many people are kidnapped while walking to work, while others are targeted in the evening traffic hour. Because it's too dangerous for people to return home, people have either moved from the capital or barricaded themselves at home out of fear. You see, kidnapping is a thriving business in Haiti. According to the UN, there were 1,107 documented cases between January and October of 2022. It's a significant source of cash for several gangs, as ransoms can range from $200 to $1 million. Most people are brought back alive if the ransom is paid, but they are tortured regardless. According to Haiti's Center for Analysis and Research in Human Rights, men are assaulted and burned with molten plastic. But sadly, most of their victims are women. Gang members think of it as the biggest motivation families have to pay the ransom. These kidnappers sometimes even call the family of the victim so they can hear the women being tortured over the phone. The two biggest gangs in Haiti are G-PEP and G9, and they compete with one another to rule Port-au-Prince. They control an estimated 60% of the city, intimidate ordinary citizens not only with threats of murder, but also with kidnapping for ransom, extortion, and sexual assault. The G9 gang blocked the main port and petroleum terminal in September 2021, when acting Prime Minister Henry announced a reduction in fuel subsidies, which caused fuel prices to quadruple and made things even worse for civilians who are already on the brink. In pursuit of new territory, they continue to use sexual violence to instill fear and impose authority over communities, with women bearing a disproportionate share of the brunt. By the way, police officers are gang members too. In fact, every gang has at least 2 serving or former cops. Half the time, kidnappings are carried out in cars with police license plates. Nobody knows if the police as an institution are engaged. But some current and former cops have formed their own gang called Baz Pilote. Coming to the origins of G9, according to the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, late President Moise, who assumed power in 2017 following a controversial election, collaborated with these gangs. Government officials accused him of allegedly aiding in massacres by providing gangs with government support in attacks in Port-au-Prince. While the country's security situation worsened following Moise's assassination, many argue that gangs grew more powerful during the late president's tenure. In fact, Moise seemed to be working with some of Haiti's major gangs to crush resistance. Not just that, but he also sided with G9, which served as his security detail up until his murder. Following that, Henry was made the de facto prime minister by the US, which obviously didn't fare well with G9. Interestingly, this being one of the most powerful gangs is commanded by a former cop, Jimmy Barbecue Cherizet. They're the ones who shut down the country's main fuel terminal, causing widespread gasoline shortages. Oh, and Cherizet asked that Haiti's then Prime Minister Ariel Henry resign and hand him over $50 million in order to restore fuel delivery throughout the country. Talk about keeping your own country hostage. And one of the worst shows of their power was on November 13, 2018, when a group led by Cherizet, which consisted of gangsters and police officers, stormed La Saline and carried out a horrible massacre. They blindly shot anyone who came in their sight, including attacks at schools, burning people alive, and committing rampant sexual abuse against women. Well, the people of Haiti are fed up, and now they've taken things into their own hands. The human rights situation in gang-controlled neighborhoods is horrifying, with reports of homicides, attacks, sexual violence, and snipers on roofs often firing at civilians in their houses and on the streets. In a show of anger by the people, more than a dozen suspected gang members in Haiti were lynched and their bodies set on fire by residents in the capital on April 25, 2023. The UN warned that insecurity in the city has reached levels comparable to countries in armed conflict. In a brief statement, Haiti National Police stated that officers in the city's Canapé Vert district were stopping and searching a minibus for contraband. As they were in the process of collecting firearms from suspects, they were sadly lynched by members of the population. More of these angry displays are expected to follow. Even though many countries have mafia groups that stem from corruption and political instability, the gangs of Haiti appear to be running the country at an unrivaled level in the world. And guess what? A population of about 11 million people has no true army because they disbanded them in 1995 following a military coup. Haiti's police force, which numbers roughly 15,000 people, is also unable to deal with expanding gang dominance. In fact, these gangs are far better armed than the police force. Even senior Haitian cops are scared to patrol in Port-au-Prince neighborhoods controlled by gangs like G9. Ending gang violence and having a proper government in charge are arguably the two most crucial measures Haiti needs to take towards restoring stability. And yet, both appear to be a long way off. Thank you for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think about the situation in Haiti. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to see more content like this, check out our other videos.